Welcome to the Entrepreneur's Odyssey, the podcast where we explore the highs and the lows of entrepreneurship, featuring the bold and the brave who dare to dream. Every episode, we dive deep into the strategies that work, the challenges that teach, and the moments that change everything. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just starting out, these are the insights and experiences you need to fuel your own Odyssey.
Hello, I'm Brandon Moore, and welcome to another episode of the Entrepreneur's Odyssey. I'm glad that you're here, and I hope that today's episode will give you something to think about and use in your business or use in developing a new business. So today we're going to talk about the idea phase, which is that idea phase comes right after the dissatisfaction. And so you're going to take that dissatisfaction, you're going to move into what are you going to do? What ideas do you have? Let's get started. You know, when Obi-Wan Kenobi found Luke Skywalker, and they discovered that message in R2-D2. Immediately, Obi-Wan knew what needed to happen, but Luke wasn't on board yet. It's funny how Luke kind of fell back on what his uncle used to tell him. But the thing is that even before you start, even before you take that next step, you have to have an idea. And the idea phase is where you actually have to think about, okay, what am I going to do for people? How am I going to serve people best? You know, in serving the community, serving as an entrepreneur, serving as a pastor or a leader, you really have to know your people. You have to know your customer. You have to know what needs they have. And the best ideas aren't usually the monumental ideas. They're not the life-changing ideas. They're the ideas that serve the immediate needs. I was reading a book about writing, and it's called The Fiction Formula. And the authors of that book said that there are no great ideas. There are only ideas, and we choose to make them great. And I think when we're talking about business owners, the boring businesses sometimes win out in cash flow, in longevity, in wealth building. But we as a people, we as individuals sometimes think we have to wait until we have that one great idea that's going to change the world before we can actually go out and be an entrepreneur. And that's just not the case. You can be a fantastic insurance salesman. You can be an owner of a car wash. You can be an owner of a laundromat. You can own rental property, or you can own a studio. Those are not fantastic ideas. Those are not new ideas. Those are just ideas that may meet a need. And so that's what you have to find in your community. You know, they say that necessity is the mother of all invention, and that's really true. If you're going about your day and, hey, you know what, there's something missing in this business, or there's something missing in this arena, this city. I was talking to some friends yesterday, and we were talking about how there's a dichotomy that's happening with retiring business owners that need to sell their businesses, that need to sell when it's at its peak value, and people who want to buy. There's a lot of people who want to be business owners, but they don't know that they can buy a business. And then there's a lot of business owners that want to sell or need to sell, but they don't know how. We just talked about that maybe one of the needs in our local community is a business broker. And there's a lot of people that think that they're business brokers, but they may be just realtors with business property, business real estate experience. So when you think about your idea, you have to think about how you can sometimes meet the needs of some people with another group of people. That may be how you come up with your idea. But don't try to think of something that's going to be a life changer, game changer. You're not going to invent the new Yahoo. You're not going to necessarily need to invent Spanx. You're not going to have to come up with something. Now, if you've got that kind of ingenuity and innovation, definitely look into it. Don't hold back. But with the idea phase, what you're trying to do is solve the dissatisfaction. What kind of idea for a business is going to help you go from being dissatisfied to living your full life, living life the way that you want to. I just want to take a few minutes to talk about the books that I've written. This one is called The E-Hero's Journey. It's the first book that I wrote, although the second book that I published. This book is one of the books that we're going to go through on this podcast, but it will really help you in your journey as an entrepreneur. It's just an overview, but it kind of talks about some challenges that you might incur and help you through those challenges. The next book that I wrote is called The E-Hero's Guide to Real Estate Investing. This book is an overview about real estate investing. We've always believed that we should have a second cash flow method, a separate revenue, one or more lines of revenue. For us, real estate was an easy choice, because we had mentors that were in real estate. And so we started our real estate journey in the same year I graduated in 2000, and that year we bought 3 houses. We got up to about 110 houses. We've sold a bunch since then, but now we're about at 50 or so. This book will help you start that journey and help you build up real estate portfolio. This third book is called The Beginning of Wealth, and this is how these 7 wealth behaviors will help you reach financial independence. I wrote this book in about 3 months. This is something that's in me so strong, and I didn't know it until I started writing it. There are 7 behaviors that I talk about, and the first 4 have nothing to do with money. They have everything to do with being a steward, with being disciplined, with having a vision, having focus. This book could be great for you and for your friends or for your kids if you're my age. So all of these books I wrote with my kids in mind, my adult children, because these are all books that you can read as you start your journey, and by the time that you finish your journey, you'll be very satisfied with how things worked out. So there they are. They're all on Amazon, and you can also get them on my website at brandonkmoore.com. Thanks. And that gets us into identifying your why. And in my book, the E-Hero's Journey, Your Guide to the Entrepreneur's Quest, I talk about how every person who owns a business has to understand their why. Why am I in business? Why am I doing this? And sometimes when you're staying, 40 or you're staying 60 hours a week or more at your business, you really need to know why you're there. Some people, their why starts out with just trying to pay the bills. Some people, their why says they want to create a business that's going to be able to donate to foreign nations or foreign missions or some other need. And some people, their why is so that they can give jobs to people in their community. So whatever that is, you need to figure out your why. And how do you determine your why? You have to list what your priorities are. What are your priorities? What do you think is important? And then when you're talking about the business, you have to understand that what is the why behind the business? That question is answered by saying, how is this business serving my community? How is this business serving the people outside my community? And what do I want to accomplish long term by having this business? Spend time thinking about the why. It makes a difference. And sometimes people, when I was in college, my first business class, we talked about the objectives of the business and what that was. And that the common statement was to maximize the ownership and the wealth of the shareholders, which that is a fundamental purpose of a public company, but it's not necessarily the why behind that company. Many people think that if you're just going after money, then if greed is your motivation, then you might step on other people to get there. You might cross certain lines that you wouldn't normally cross to make that dollar. And, money is not evil. It's the love of money, which is the root of all evil, and that's greed. But there are a lot of business owners who make a lot of money, who have built large amounts of wealth, and who are the biggest givers in the community, who know that the purpose of their money isn't just to satisfy themselves, but to satisfy generations of people, to help generations of people either through contributions to their church or contributions to charity and in and around the community. But let's talk about your idea. It's helpful to think about, who you talk to about your ideas. And I'm a big proponent of people getting counsel, getting wise counsel. But then you have to be careful. In my book, I talk about the dream stealers. Those people who are naysayers, who's always going to say you can't do that. And that's a problem. If all the people that you're around or those kinds of people or just want to keep you dissatisfied like them, then you need to find a new flock of people, maybe a new tribe, maybe a new church, somewhere where you can go where people be positive and encouraging towards your destiny, your goals, what God has put in your heart to do. Let's talk about what God implants in us. Sometimes the Bible says that He gives us the desires of our heart in Psalm 103. Now, the desires of your heart, when God talks about giving the desires of your heart, I think it's twofold. One, he gives us those desires themselves. So he drops those purposes and destinies and plans on the inside of us. And then the second part is he fulfills them. I believe that when you start following that destiny and following towards that mark, then God steps in and moves things out of the way to help you accomplish that goal. When I was looking into moving into other cities as a CPA, I got really bold and excited about opening an office in Round Rock, Texas, which is just north of Austin. And so I went and I drove there. I looked around for office space, and I found some executive suites that would work. And so I contacted the landlords and looked over the lease. Everything looked great. It's a 3-year lease, and I signed the paperwork. And then I went to the public accountancy website that regulates CPAs in the state of Texas, and I found out that you can only oversee one office per CPA. And so if I wanted to have a second office in a second city, I would have to have another CPA working for me. And at the time, I didn't. And so I was extremely disheartened. One, because I had already signed the lease and I should have looked up the regulations beforehand. And so I just went to pray. And I just really felt peace about it and that I should just move forward. So I continued to plan. I continued to make plans on going to Round Rock every week for 2 days a week. I stayed in a stinky motel because I didn't want to spend a lot of money on hotels. So I think I stayed at the Red Roof there on 35, and I think at that time it was like $53 a night, and it smelled like it. So anyway, I made plans, and then I started going there, and then I started getting clients. That's when I wanted to go back and see, okay, what can I do to overcome the barrier of the regulations that were in the accountancy board. And when I went to go look at the rules, they had changed. I even had a printout where I underlined where they told me I couldn't have more than one office if I only had one CPA. But this next time that I went to look, and it was only a matter of 2 or 3 weeks different, and that rule was different, that a CPA could oversee as many branch offices as he could possibly do and keep with professional standards. I just couldn't. I believed it because I knew who my God was. But just the fact that the rule changed, and I know it didn't change just for me, but I do know that God had already been moving and working on that, because rule changes for the CPA Board of Accountancy, it takes a long time for that to happen. So for that to happen in a matter of 3 to 4 weeks from the time that I signed the lease, saw the rules, and then went to prayer and went to just planning, that was just another miracle that God did on my behalf when I was seeking my destiny, seeking what God had called me to. So again, you just know that when God puts those things on your heart, protect it. Proverbs says that protect your heart, for out of it flow the issues of life. You've got to protect those dreams and be careful who you talk to your dreams about. Find those people that are going to encourage you. Now, what's the difference between encouragement and counsel? Dream stealing and encouraging counsel. You might go to a wise counsel and they may say, I think that you have a good idea, but you need to look at this and this. All of those things may feel like they're hindering you, but they didn't tell you couldn't do it. They just told you things to look for. Dream stealers say, you can't do that. You're not smart enough. You're not strong enough. You don't have enough money. There's no way in the world that's going to be allowed. Those are the people that you don't want in your life. But wise counsel may say, hey, if you believe that you're supposed to do this, these are the things that you're going to have to look out for. They're just giving you warnings about some obstacles and barriers that might be there. So don't think that in and of itself is a dream stealing. That is wise counsel. And look to that and listen to that. You know, all entrepreneurs share a similar spirit. And, you know, as an entrepreneur, I am usually more willing to risk finance, to risk resources in the pursuit of my goals and dreams than the average person. I know this is true because I see other people who came through same courses I did at school, who have a better level of education, who just have never really stepped out and taken any risk. And, and there's nothing wrong with them doing that. And they can they can be content. They can be content in what they're doing, what they're accomplishing for their family, and that's fine for them. But as an entrepreneur, I was never satisfied with the status quo. I was never satisfied with what's going on right now, right here, today, that this is good enough. Now, that doesn't mean that I was not content. The Bible says to be content in all situations. I'm content with lack. I'm content with wealth. I am content wherever I'm at. But that doesn't mean that I'm satisfied. Contentment and satisfaction are not the same. I'm content with my family. I'm so happy to be around them, for them to be in my life, for me to get to be in their life. But I'm not satisfied with only doing just enough to get by, or only doing just enough to satisfy me. I want to be, like the Bible says, a wise person leaves an inheritance to his children's children. I want to be generational. And that's why I think that entrepreneur spirit in me drove me towards my dreams, drove me towards seeking out what I could do to build wealth, to help other people build wealth, and to be an example for others, really. So remember that you should follow your dreams and be careful who you say them to. So, diving into the details, the next steps, you have an idea. How do you flesh that out? I recommend in my book using a mind map where you put the idea in the center and then all around it, write down things that have to happen in order for that idea to come to fruition. One, I need to create an LLC. I need to find a CPA. I need to have inventory. I need to have contacts with salespeople. I need to have contacts with vendors. I need to have a storefront, or I need to have an online store. I need to have a website. All those things need to be put around that idea. And then what I would do is I'd recommend that you circle the top 3 things that are going to have the biggest impact on seeing that idea happen. And once you have those 3 things written out, then I would step back and I would do it again. I would maybe focus in, okay, if I wrote down on one of those things that I need to have a website, I'd put that in the middle of my mind map. And then all around it, I would write out, okay, what does having a website mean? It means I need to go to a certain website to register that. I need to have somebody build the website. I need to have somebody host the website. I need somebody to design graphics for the website. All those things that have to be done for a website. Okay, what else? You need SEO, which is search engine optimization. You need somebody that will be able to put your website on a Google search or a Bing search, or I don't even know all of the browsers that are available. Everybody uses Google anyway. But you need that website to be able to be found, right? And so all those things you need to put around that. And then I would, again, identify the top 3 or 4 things that are going to have the biggest impact to have that part happen. And see, what you're doing is you're laying out a foundation of a plan. And you're not making any decisions. You haven't spent any money. You haven't leapt off the cliff just yet. All you're doing is fleshing out that idea. The idea is like a skeleton, and you got to put flesh on it. You got to put organs on it. You got to wrap skin around it to where it becomes real. And once you have that, once you do that, then you might be ready for the next step, which is the choice. And we'll talk about that in the next episode. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you listening to me ranting about this. I hope this podcast helps somebody. I hope that if you have questions, please comment. Please send questions to our website. Please contact us. We'd love to connect with you and know that we're helping you and be able to give you some resources and point you to our website where we've got some other resources as well. It was great being here. Thankful for you. I'm thankful that you listen to us every podcast. Take care.
Thank you for joining us on the Entrepreneur's Odyssey. We hope today's journey has left you inspired and ready to push the boundaries of what you thought was possible. Make sure to like and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. Don't forget to rate and review us, and share this episode with someone who could use a little inspiration on their entrepreneurial journey. Join us for more insights and stories. Until then, keep chasing your dreams and write your own Odyssey.